Hey, it's random pop culture news freak here, aka Mr. Manny Wolverine. You guys are intros and outros for channel. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, as always. Odyssey, Bradian, Minds, BitChute, just in case the channel gets shut down, terminated, shadow ban, what have you, God forbid, gets deleted, God forbid. Anyway, I know this is from yesterday. Gotta get credit is due. To Tech Power Up, the ones that made this thing. It was the first time I ever read from this website, by the way, this news article headline place, because I never heard of it until today. And I gotta give them way more extra credit to the two usual people I hear about. They talk about a lot of video game industry news, aka a lot of video commentary, video games industry news, like Young or Dreamcast guy. I heard about it from one of those two. So if I remember to leave the link to their video, I'll leave it in the description box below. Those rumors about Mr. Big CEO, CFO of Microsoft, not Microsoft, but the Xbox video game division side, Xbox Series X and S, Phil Spencer, okay, Big Daddy Phil Spencer, the man, the myth, the legend himself, possibly getting terminated and fired from being the head CEO of Xbox anymore, which is absolutely freaking insane. I'd be very, very surprised if the powers that be, aka the elites and all that shit, God forbid us Illuminati Freemasons or any of those evil Roschilds, Bilderberg, trial commissions, etc., all those deal with corporations that run the planet, control those social engineering, all that shit. I'm gonna be surprised if any of those corporations, evil, satanic NWO places, if they don't give him like $1 million billion with a golden parachute or diamond encrusted platinum palladium sort of silver parachute to him to jump out of, he gets like $1 million billion plus check. If they don't give that to him, they just terminate him completely, fire him completely, without giving him any of those, that type of materialism or benefits or money in the world. My jaw would drop to the floor if this is actual true news. If he truly ends up getting fired after this company, I don't know if it's an indie developer company or a big time company. And then the same ones that made the Batman Arkham series, Arkham Knight series. So there's that. Anyways, I'm playing some Fable 1, Fable 2 music in the background because next to Halo and nowadays it's like Banjo-Kazooie and the Glover series. Those are like the three biggest old school Xbox IPs that came out back in the early mid late 2000s, early 2010s era. So without further ado, let's begin, not wasting no time. There's another separate video I'm going to be doing today. A little bit more boring, but the other half is really, really good. It's about Vice. Unfortunately, bad news. We got 7 or 12,000 people that were terminated or laid off on that job for all those news journalists, which they're full of garbage shitheads anyways. Fuck them. Or crap anyways. They're not good news at all. The second one's a little bit more sad. It's about another VTuber case on leaving. Even though I heard about that 4 or 5 days ago, I still wanted to talk about it. That one about Vice is way older. It's over a week old, but I'm still going to talk about it. Put my 2 cents on a separate video. So I'll be talking about both those two news article stories in one video later today. So be on the lookout for that. Another sad one, but luckily it's still live. Another separate video I'll be doing tomorrow, Saturday. About luckily his fans, and his people, his fans, his inner circles that he works with, actor, music artist, and comedian Jamie Foxx. He's doing a little bit better after his health scare happened. God forbid, I hope he doesn't pass away. He's way too young to be. That's why he's only in his 50s, even though he's older than me. Anyways, that one I'll talk about tomorrow. So this comes from Toast from techpowerup.com. Got a credit there. It says Phil Spencer, CEO of Xbox Game Studios, appears to be on one of the most popular Xbox themes Kind of Funny Games podcasts. I've heard of Kind of Funny Games a few times in the past. I never followed them or subscribed to them, but they're kind of meh. They're kind of like how IGN GameSpot are. I'm not really crazy about them at all. I watch them like once or twice out the year. Unless it has anything to do with E3 or the Game Awards or Gamescom or Tokyo Game Show, I'll probably watch them then. It has nothing to do with those 4 or 5 things or PAX on game conventions that go on, then I probably won't watch them. There's a podcast earlier this week for a video interview. I only heard about this like a day or two ago. Xcast episode 173. The almost 45-minute long conversation touched upon several topics relating to the gaming matters at Microsoft. While the hosts were managing to corner Phil Spencer about the recent not-so-good launch of the Bethesda and Arcane's horror FPS series Redfall, which I heard about like 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago. I don't really care for games like that. I'll get to the ending thoughts, views, and opinions, and why. I don't care for a lot of bloody, gory horror type of games. Unless it's something like Resident Evil or Silent Hill or any of those type of cool horror games with FPS stuff into it, like some Call of Duty sort of tooling mechanics that you could use, then I'll probably get into it. If not, I'm not going to care about it at all. Anyways, let's continue forward. Gaming community feedback has not been exactly encouraging in the wake of these games. Yeah, where was that? Yeah, not been encouraged in the wake of these games releasing 2 days ago. What? I thought it was over a week old. It's less than that? I didn't know. Phil Spencer admits that he shares similar sentiments. His quote, this comes from the CEO head honcho's himself. If he doesn't get fired or terminated, if he doesn't get any of the materialism and $1 million billion golden parachute check, if they do fire him, I'd be very super shocked. My jaw would drop to the floor if that happens. If it doesn't, not surprised. So it says, I'll just say it all up here. There's nothing more than difficult for me and disappointing the Xbox community. I've been a part of this for a very long time. I've obviously worked on Xbox, head of the business, have a lot of friends, get a lot of feedback. And just to watch the community lose confidence, be disappointed, I'm disappointed. I'm upset with myself. I revisit our process, I think, back to the announcement of the 60 FPS era, and then we weren't shipping 60 FPSs. That was our punchline of the chin, rightfully a couple of weeks ago. After seeing this, the game came out, and a critical response was not what we wanted and is disappointing, unquote. That's his words in his own terminology and his PR fluff that he's saying. I'm not sure if it's true or not. It's probably not come from the heart. It's probably what his writers and producers and script writers and his freaking lawyers probably told him to say, but let's move forward. Continues as though about reacting to the feedback on earlier this process, and goes on to say, says he also continues his thoughts about reacting to feedback earlier in the process. Another quote, another really long, driven out speech that he's making, one of those real fake, as lawyers or district attorney, not private citizens, but private security people told him to talk about, say it in this type of form, this mannerism of speech. Like usual, they probably got a trained speech impediment coach for him or whatever, but let's continue on. Is what can we learn? What can we get better? One thing is I will fight is what went wrong. They clearly, oh yeah, this is still Phil Spencer talking, CEO of Xbox, unless he gets, like I said, terminated, fired without any of the materialism, wealth, or freaking money, $1 billion trillion paycheck he's probably going to get before he leaves the company, which I highly doubt is happening. If it happens, I'd be crazy. If it doesn't, he doesn't get any materialism, wealth, and money paycheck in the world, what this world has to offer, I'd be extremely mind blown as hell. But let's continue forward. Yeah. There's a lot of people will say that, yeah, and I'll fight one wrong. I went way too ahead there. It says, this is where I left off. There's clearly quality and execution things that we can do. One thing is for sure, I won't do is push against the creative aspirations of our team. And a lot of people will say, hey, you got great teams. The teams who know how to do one kind of game, I'll just force them to do one kind of game that gave them the game that they have a proven track record for. I'm just not a believer in that. Maybe that means I'll under-deliver for some of our fans out there, but when a team like Rare wants to do a Sea of Thieves game, when a teams like Obsidian wants to do Grounded, when Tango wants to do Hi-Fi Rush, that was like one of the biggest games last month that came out really, really big out of nowhere. It was an indie game that got successful overnight, big time. Let's continue forward. When everybody was probably thought they were doing The Evil Within 3, game I'm never going to play, like I said at the beginning of this video. There's a shitload of bloody, gory, demonic shit that feels too realistic for me to play, even though it's a mythical fantasy game. I'm not trying to sound like an older boomer millennial. It's like, oh, all video games are bad. It's going to make kids do harness evil criminal acts in real life, in person. I'm not trying to sound like that. Just when it comes to those type of games, yeah, I stay clear away from those ones because I won't be able to sleep for a week or a month if I play games like that. But let's continue. And everyone's probably doing their own other thing with Evil in 3. I just read that. I wanted to give the teams a creative platform to go on and push their aspirations, unquote. So now this is just the author illustrator of this website talking now, the one that made this story out here. The real big news that happened a day or two ago is Phil Spencer sorry for the situation is opening to taking part of the responsibility. Says, quote, I guess Phil Spencer again talking. He's taking so many freaking bullet points everywhere, man. Lots of quotation marks in this. The most quotation marks I've read this whole year, 2023. Let's move on. But I also need to have a great selection of games and continue to come that with a surprise and delight for our fans. We under-delivered on that, and for that I apologize. It's not what I expect, not what I want to do, but it's ours to deliver, unquote. His primary concern lies with Redfall's technical. I got a lot of graphical glitch exploitation prompts. I heard about that game. Try to avoid that one, like the flag, because I don't really like following games like that. You know, the trailer looked nice. The trailer always looks good, but it's the actual gameplay itself. Is it going to be a broken ass piece of shit, or is it going to fucking mechanical tool mechanics and the freaking graphics aren't going to be broken? Are they going to be 100% fixed and on time? Especially for a lot of PC gaming players. They're getting the short end of the stick a lot this year. Then they got shitted on the hardest PC gamers this year. The whole Star Wars game that came out ended up being broken. The Last of Us on PC ended up being broken. Now Redfall on PC is broken. Way worse than the console ones. But let's continue forward. That's another rant for another time. Also goes on to say that... Alright. Almost lost my part here. Redfall's technical problems, rather than the game's critical reception. In terms of the press coverage, Phil Spencer talking again. I don't look at the reviews on Scores on Redfall. There are quality issues and we're working on those. But I think the fundamental piece of the feedback is where that we get to a game isn't realizing the creative vision it has for its players. It doesn't feel like, hey, just delay it. That feels like the game had a goal to do one things. And when players are actually playing that, they're not feeling that thing, they're just feeling the creativity of the execution of them. And then the last two big ones here, I'm not going to read any more after that. Oh, just all hashtags at the bottom, I don't care. So Spencer discusses that his company's internal project postpones strategies. When a game needs to be delayed, we did it with Halo, this is him talking again. With the Starfield, we did with Redfall, because the production of the timelines is saying that we have a vision. And our production timelines don't get us to completion of that vision as well. We do delay games. We do that, he says, quote unquote, unquote now. He also, this is the author, freaking journalist talking now. He states that the fans of Arcane Pass work in legacy, but a good track record is not always indicative of these things to come. Now Phil talking again. Learning about this quality and that there are clearly, I have seen them. I know that there are bugs in Redfall, but what I look at are the crash rates of the game, because we're getting all the temperamentary of everything that's happened. This is not of our good proportions of the game that had just launched, but in this pocket that we would expect to do. That's not to deny that any of the animations, streaming of texture bugs, AI bugs we have seen. We will go on to work, but when I look at the reviews of every scores of this game, did we have enough to create enough of a creative differentiation, hopefully I'm saying that right, in our core idea? And do we realize the creativity of our ambition? I'm a huge supporter of Arcane Austin. Oh, in Texas, I didn't know that. I thought it was from Canada somewhere, or Cali. Their track record is awesome. I have a lot of great games they built. There is one where the team didn't hit their own internal goals when it launched. And the last bit of news, and I could talk about my overall thoughts, views, and opinions. I'm just going to read half of it, and that's it. Hunter delivers a slightly confusing sentence about getting a product out of the door, even in a less satisfactory state. Says, quote, I think I may be a little simplistic. Just say, hey, if you would have just delayed it for 3 more months, the core creative game would have delivered something that was a bit different than it was. So I look at them in different camps. If there's a production timeline issue, we've been open up to delay. If we just have more bugs, we should have the end of the game, and we're open to delaying. At some point, there has to be a creative vision, and put that game out. And the reviewers and players will tell us what they think. AAA games, So, overall thoughts, views, and opinions. I'm not sure if this dude feels like he's trapped in a corner, and the mainstream media press is going to be shitting on this dude extremely hard in his face. Badly. Absolutely extremely abysmal. My personal opinion, I don't know. I felt like it was a weak defense that he was saying. I mean, the dude's like in his 40s, 50s, early 60s now. He's probably getting ready to retire with a nice big fat paycheck and materialism and all that shit. I don't care for the game Redfall. I'm not playing those type of games. I get it. It's a mythical fantasy game. I play games like that. I will never sleep for like a whole week or a month, because I'll probably have nightmares the whole fucking time. It will keep me up. So I stay far the fuck away from that stuff. Oh, not because I'm being spiritually over-religious or overzealous or being an old boomer motherfucker and say, oh, these kids these days don't know what the real definition of fear is. That's all I got to say for now. I'm out of here. Peace out. I'm late. Goodbye. See you on the flip side. I'm out. See you soon. Goodbye.